Okay, good day to all of you. This is Carl. This is the first episode of what I hope will be a series. Let's call it Salsa Talks. What is the idea of Salsa Talks? It's to have, in a very short lapse of time, interviews with interesting people from the, well, let's say European dance scene, salsa scene in the first place. It's completely random. I just invite friends or people that I find interesting to me. So there is no rule, there is no connection. Today, I'm going to start with Mr. Talal Ben Lassen. Do I pronounce this correctly, Talal?
However you pronounce it, my friend. That's the European way of saying it, so I'm fine with it.
Okay.
It's good. It's good. Yeah.
So, just like I told you, Talal, I'm going to try to keep this short, 10 minutes, maximum 15 minutes. It's a bit of an exercise for me too. I like to speak, so I will try to be short. Good. First thing,
Wonderful.
Background. Talal, where did you grow up? Where did you live in general?
So very shortly, I was born and grew up in Morocco until my almost 19 years old. Then I moved to Belgium.
Okay, and that's it. So you have lived in two places. Okay.
Yeah, Belgium, Morocco, and Belgium. Born in Morocco and moved to Belgium.
Okay. What is your first memory that involves dance? What? When you were 4, 5, 6? I don't know.
No. Dance. I thought you were talking about salsa. If it's
No.
dance,
something.
Well, then it's on daily basis because we celebrate a lot in Morocco for no reason. So dancing actually is part of our culture, I would say. So I mean, we can dance and celebrate for no reason. So like dancing has always been part of it. So not Latin dance, but still it's dance.
All right, good. Good. To continue on that, why dancing? Are there any? Is there one thing that was decisive in your life? Let's say that made you decide, okay, I want to be a dance teacher, dancer, performer, whatever. Is there one thing that made you choose this profession?
No. The desire to become like this happened gradually. So it was never a wish. So this is something that's happened because in the beginning you discover the salsa scene, you fall in love with it because you like how it looks like. Then also because, let's say, socially speaking, it's a place where you can meet people. And especially for someone like me who arrived in Belgium when I was 18, 19, I didn't have friends, I didn't know people. So it was like really for me the place to be. So for me, it was just like a place to meet people. Now about learning how to dance until they say dancing better and better until giving classes and so on. All these things happened gradually. So it was never a wish before.
Okay, and there was no turning point in your life that you remember that was the thing that made me understand I want to work in this area. No.
We have to judge with what we had with what I had, like let's say all the the things that I had back in the days. Salsa was very was in its early stage in the beginning, in the years 2000, 2001. So there was a certain community, right? And it was mostly going out to have fun. Okay, there were, let's say, some few major teachers in the Belgian salsa scenes, and those like the big names, but that's all. But beyond that, I never knew about salsa, its history, about, like, let's say, the global salsa scene, the origins, and or congresses or everything. So I had nothing to look at. I had nothing to be inspired of. So for me, in the beginning, was mostly, there was no turning point. Let's say everything happened according to what to let's say day by day. It was like a day by day process. So I cannot say there was like a turning point.
Okay. Now maybe another question. Maybe how would you define yourself? Because I was saying, did you decide to become? Do you define yourself as a dancer, as a dance teacher, as a performer, as an artist, as a promoter, or a mix? Or it depends.
You gave me the last answer to make it easier for me, so I can say like it's a mix. I would say I'm far from being a dancer because I have no dance background. Because to be honest, let's say I know I learned how to dance through all these years, I would say, being inspired from different teachers with some, let's say, also like some certain self-discipline, and also, let's say, being inspired myself. But I met through this journey what I call real dancers, those who have really like real background, or who does it, let's say, who do it, let's say, 10,000 times better than I do. So yes, it's, let's say, what is driving me mostly is the passion about all this culture, about all this movement. So all what is related to it, we just mentioned it. You said dancing, teaching, performing, promoting, organizing trip for it, everything that has to do with the dancing field, then I'm doing it. It's mostly, let's say, passion driven.
Okay, let's pass to another thing: inspiration and training. How did you get to how did you get to your current status? I mean by that, who were your main teachers? Who was your inspiration? Several people who maybe inspired you, or who are still inspiring you?
I have a first inspiration and I have a first teacher. Okay, so if I talk about the first inspiration, it was an amazing person called Eric de Armas. For me, he's a full artist, not only a dancer, but he's a dancer, he's a singer, he's a composer, he's a musician, he's a Cuban guy. Okay, and he's a doctor, by the way. He's like a general doctor, and that's the first person I saw when I went to the Monte Cristo in 2000, and I saw him dance, and I was like, whoa. That's great. That's beautiful. That was my inspiration. As a teacher, like let's say a couple of weeks later, I met Mike O. Everybody know in Belgium and know Mike O. And that was actually the first contact with the real local teacher in Belgium, because Eric de Armas is a Cuban dancer, but you can be a great dancer, but maybe you don't teach, or maybe it's not your profession. But Michael has at that time, let's say, one of the, let's say, a famous school in Brussels, and gathering a lot of people. And that was my second inspiration, and let's say the first teacher I learned things with.
Okay, then moving on to the next step. How did you evolve? I mean, I see you dance mambo, pachanga, New York style, maybe LA style, probably Cuban style. I have never seen you dance, but how did you go from Mike O? How did you continue? Yes, tell me.
But pachanga, no, because I suck in pachanga. Let's be honest about it. So
happy to hear that.
Yeah, let's be honest. I will say
because I do suck myself at pachanga. That's why I'm happy. Okay.
let's say one word: ambition.
Mm-hmm.
Which means we've been working with Mike O, and we did a lot of great things, right? The only thing is, like, we were a group of 10 people, and I wanted to imagine how it's hard to lead and manage a group of 10 people. And at that time, I say I was like still young. I was like 23, 24, and I say I had more ambition. I wanted to go fast, right? I want to go fast. And when we have a group of 10 people at that time, they have all their occupation, family. So it's not always easy to gather them, to train with them. We had, let's say, not the same age, so therefore we don't have the same ambition, the same passion. So at that moment, I was looking to something else. I say, okay, I have that energy inside me, so I want to take it to another level. It wasn't that easy step, because it's like, it's like moving from a small river and then like throwing yourself in a big ocean, and you're no one. And you want somehow to create something, but it was worth it, and that's how things went. So it was, let's say, mostly out of ambition. I wanted to do something bigger. That's all.
Okay. About that, I'm curious as myself. How do you train? Even now, how much do you train? Do you do that alone? You don't train? Don't be shy. Is there time?
I just came back.
Yeah,
I just came. To be honest, I just came back from a morning training, because I'm training with one guy right now, and honestly, we do it. I do it because I like it, but also I do it because, regarding the current times, it is one of the few ways to keep on dancing. Okay, now about training, I'm far from being a disciplined person, which means I know some dancers who really taking it more seriously, I would say. In my case, it's mostly by mood, I would say. There are like some days where we'll be like training every week, every day, especially if my dance partner, we're both in the same city, so that we motivate each other. But alone it's not that easy. It's very hard for me to say like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna wake up and go to the studio and train by myself. Alone, I don't have the same motivation. That's why maybe I'm training with this guy right now. His name is Santiago, by the way. That's why I'm training with him right now, because together it's motivating. Alone, not the same thing.
Okay.
Am I answering your questions?
Yeah, sure. I'm looking at
trying to be short.
Yeah. Okay, I have asked you before this talk, Talal, to give me 2 videos. One video of yours and a video of another couple of other people. I'm going to show you first the video that you chose for yourself, and then we can talk about it quickly. Yeah. Okay,
right.
If this hopefully works. It does not work. That's what happens when you work with them. Okay, let's proceed. Ambitions, you said. What ambitions do you have at the time being? Meaning, let's say in 10 years from now, we are then 2031. What would you like to have achieved by then? Where would you like to be? That's very
regarding dancing still, I would
yes.
You mean? I mean, I always believe that like at some point there is an evolution, and there is now place for others. Let's say all these young, new, powerful talents coming, everything. Yet, as dancing is still my passion, as I told you in one of my answers, I don't consider myself as a dancer, but as I said, I'm more like a passionate. I would still want to have some kind of like structure that gathers people for dancing, sharing the same passion as I am, through classes, events, maybe other stuff. But I would still want to have this, let's say, as we say in French, noyau. I don't know how we would say this in English, or network, or dancing network that still spread the same passion I have through these years.
Okay. Now another question about you as a dancer. What would you? I mean, when I see you dance, Talal, I have the impression. I wonder where your inspiration comes from, because I don't see you so much as you're very particular. So nobody dances like you. One can recognize. Okay, one can recognize your dancing person, Talal. So where does it come from? It doesn't look. How can I say? It doesn't look classic in the sense that it's not like a copy of some other styles. Where does that come from? Is that you, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard to say. You know, I think when we start learning dancing, even until now, we watch others. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very important to know something as a beginner, or no matter where you are during your dancing process. You will always look at those who are better than you. Okay, you will always have this feeling of inferiority next to others. So you look at them, okay? And let's say, gradually speaking, since I started, I always looked at other dancers and trying, let's say, to get inspired from them. So I wouldn't say I got inspired from one great dancer, like in like especially, but I say I tried to take a little bit from here and there and try to mix them my way, or to do them my way. Well, I think through this process, maybe like something genetic in my body somehow, let's say, develop this movement in a certain way, and that's why it gives what you talked about right now. But yeah, I mean, as I said, I got inspired from many people, and I still do. I presume there is some personal touch coming from somewhere. I cannot explain it, but I know that there is something. But as I said, it's a mix of, like say, external and internal things. So that's what gives what you talked about.
Okay. What would be your strong points and your less strong points as a dancer, if you would criticize yourself? Video.
Then I will have strong point is like I'm good when I'm partnering.
Okay.
Alone, I'm very weak. If I'm partnering with the right person, I'm good, and I'm in my in my right environment. And the weakest,
You do solo shows.
Solo shows, I did them. I don't think I did them because I wanted or I liked doing solo shows. It's that because it was one of the only ways to stay on stage.
Okay.
And to stay there and to keep going. And I prefer a million times doing things that suck and maybe that they don't look good at some point. Maybe if some people, they say they like it and everything, then stop it. Because according to me, if I had to stop and to wait until I get the right dance partner, then I will never improve. So I kept doing things, no matter how they are. They're good, bad, the medium. Some people, they like them. Some people, they don't. But I kept doing them. And that's the only way to stay in there. So as I said, when I'm partnering, I feel stronger. And the weakest point is like the discipline. So it's not really, I'm not really very disciplined, especially when it has to do with training. You know what I mean?
Okay. Good.
Because when I look at people, when I look at people around me, they do like all kind of other things. Like, I don't know, they go to stretching, Pilates, they do whatever things that to complement their dancing. I don't do that. I wish, but yeah.
Okay.
I wish.
Good. In the meantime, I have found the videos I was talking about. So I'm going to show you this first video where you dance. Okay, sorry that I have to cut. I guess some people will be jealous, and if you want to go and look for it, we can tell you later. Talala Nedita, it was, where was it?
In Paris.
Paris, okay.
Sullivan.
Why did you
so
choose?
Much nostalgia in there?
Yeah. Why did you? Well, I looked at it this morning, and I have been having this song in my head since the morning, even during my tennis class. But okay, why did you choose this video?
It really shows how like when I'm dancing with my dance partner socially, we're not talking about stage or classes. It's like that's like one of the best moments ever, which because like we have this kind of like good fusion, and then when we're like it's like I'm in my element at that time. So so we understand each other. We can play with each other during the song. We can feel the song the same way, and it's like a pure moment of happiness. So at that time, also, it also represents this moment. Like before pandemic, like traveling the world every weekend, going somewhere, and then landing in Paris next to Moulin Rouge and having this dance, and then going out to buy a French crepe, and so it's so many things together at the same time. I cannot say it's one thing. So
nice. Okay.
It's related to so many things.
Yes, and it's with your current partner, or it's the person you're.
Yes.
Okay.
7 years.
7 years, good. The second video is coming up. It's not from you.
1, 2, 3 y...
Cuando comienza el andar de la comparsa y de los cueros se siente el resonar, le quita al burro la careta de la pausa y entona alegre con su rítmico cantar. Le quita al burro la careta de la farsa y entona alegre con su rítmico cantar. ¿Cómo?
Okay, sorry, the best part. What?
Yeah.
Why this video?
First, because it's Juan Matos, and it's one of the most amazing inspiration, and it's for me, it's like one of the legends, and it's like, for me, he's like one of the salsa monsters still existing, I would say. Second, because I was there and I was watching this show live, and for me, the emotions I had during that show, because Juan Matos, when he was dancing during the show, his pants broke during the show.
Okay.
And then it can show how people, they can be like stressed. So, I mean, this guy, when he's performing, he's not performing, he's playing, he's living his show. So his span broke, no panic. He just like showed to the people that his span was broken, and he kept dancing like he was killing the show till the end. So the emotion we had at that time, not only me, but all the crowd, not only because the show was great, but because all the things he was transmitting during that show, and no matter what happened, pan broken, he kicked that show like till the end. So it's quite memorable. It was in Warsaw, El Sol, I think 1 or 2 years ago. I lost track of time.
Okay, good. Talal, we have lost our competition with ourselves because we are at 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Yeah,
so
that's too long.
We need to stop here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being my first guest. I know it was a bit
Thank you.
short. It was a bit, technically we need to find out. Thanks for being with me, and hopefully.
Thanks for having me as your first. Thanks for having me as your first lab rat.
Yeah. See you, Talal.
And see you soon. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Bye.
You're welcome.
Take care. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.